Okay, so it's a week later. I'm getting ready to start putting down the waterproofing. As you can see, I may have shown you this before, but I'll show it to you again. All these cracks down here on the floor are nice and filled in. They're solid. It's had more than enough time to dry. So an update. So why do I have this towel here? As I told you last time, I was going to take off all the fixtures so that way I could get in behind here, make sure it's clean and waterproof everything. When I pulled this off, well, hold on, let me show you something else first real quick. So this is the cover that goes on there, right? It's got a rubber gasket behind there, but as you can see, we've got some water staining, so I can tell absolutely water has been getting in behind there. So that's where it'd be dripping down there. What's this brown stuff around here at the top? That doesn't quite make sense. So I'll tell you what it is, or what I figured out. So first of all, as I said, I wanted to get behind here and make sure that I seal this up really good. And what I'll be doing is also running a bead of clear silicone caulk around this edge. Because as you see, it's got that gasket lip there, but this is made for an acrylic shower or with a solid backed wall. It does not fit perfectly. And I'll try to slide this in here with one hand. But long story short, maybe you can see it, maybe you can't, but there is a small gap right there at that grout line. So water can get back there wherever these grout lines are because it's not made to seal that. It's made to seal the acrylic. So I'll be using a caulk to go around the edge of that to make sure I seal these gaps here. To make sure water isn't getting back there. Also, there's a little bit of green staining there. It's probably really hard to see on camera, but trust me, it is there. So when I took this off, I noticed something strange. I started feeling cold air coming out of there. So I'm fairly certain back in 2008, the building codes even back then stated that any gaps between the underside of the house or the attic side of the house coming into the house should be sealed after any penetrations. So in other words, when they cut the holes to put the pipes through, they should have come back and sealed those holes with some kind of silicone or construction adhesive or foam or something to keep air leaking in there, because as you can guess what happens, we're in the interior of the house. This wall is nice and warm inside the house during the summer and warm inside the house during the winter and warm during the summer. Well, if air is getting in there from underneath the house from the crawl space, that's going to be cold air in the winter, warm air in the summer. So warm air, moist air against a cool surface does what? Creates condensation. Nice warm surface with cold air in the winter can also create condensation. So it needs to be plugged. So I'm going to have to get up under the house, and if this one was not sealed properly, I'm going to go on the assumption that most of them were not sealed properly. So I'm going to go under there with closed cell foam, and I'm going to seal up any gaps and any penetrations underneath the house for wiring, for electrical wiring, network wiring, so I should have differentiated between those two, and any plumbing. So again, that needs to be fixed. So that's why I had the towel on there. So yeah, definitely want to do that. So that's what that brown staining was here. So here's the bottom. Let's see if you can see that. That's the bottom where water was leaking down and draining out. And the brown stuff up here is most likely dust and dirt that was seeping into the house from underneath the house. So that causes a couple issues. Again, moisture that I just talked about. Also allergies. Any kind of mold or mildew that was building up in the basement is now leaking into the house. So again, I'm going to get up under there and do that. Not on this video, and I'm just telling you what I'm going to be doing. I don't think anyone wants to watch me crawling around in dirt with a spray foam can and spraying it. The reason I'm going to use closed cell foam as opposed to open cell foam is one of the main differences between the two is closed cell foam will not let moisture or water pass, where open cell foam will. So if it's moist underneath the house, then moisture can leak up into the house, and I don't want that. I want it staying underneath the house where the vents can come through and you know, push that out, the vents on the other side of the house. So I want airflow to be underneath the house, but not into the house. And I don't want moisture getting to the house. I want it staying underneath the house and then flowing outside of the house, not into it. So closed cell foam, not open cell foam. Now, as I do the waterproofing in here, I'm going to be using two things. So first of all, they make this little kit. I'll show it to you right here. It's got a foam squeegee, so it's a nice foam surface that absorbs it. And then the package material, you take off the cardboard backing, and it's actually the tray is the plastic part, so it goes down in here and you can wipe it off. So it's kind of a little cheap all-in-one. And then I'm also going to be using these little cheap foam brushes. So I got a couple of different sizes. So what I'm going to be doing with it is I'm going to be dipping it into the waterproofing, and then I'm going to be going into the grout lines and just kind of pushing it in there. I'm not going to be like rubbing really hard because, again, this is sanded grout, so it's kind of like sandpaper. So if I do this, it's probably going to start rubbing off the foam there and maybe leave a little black marks. But I'm going to just dip it in there and make sure I go through and get all these grout lines really good. Same thing down here. I'm going to be going down along all the grout lines. Once I get the grout really good, then I'll come back with this, and then I'll sweep it right down the walls from top to bottom. Then I'm going to go from bottom to top, left to right, and right to left. And the reason I'm doing that is because, again, as I showed you in that picture earlier, there are micro pores in here. So I don't know if that micro pore is facing up, facing down, facing left, facing right. You know, unless I get it on a microscope or something, not going to happen. So I'm just going to go up, down, left, right, right, left. So, and then down, up. So that way I'm covering everything. And then I'm going to get probably one wall sealed first, then the back wall, and then the back wall. I think it says on the instructions for this product, I think it says set 5 minutes before you wipe it down. Let me see. 3 to 5 minutes. Yep, 3 to 5 minutes before you clean off any residue. So I'm going to do it once, let it dry for 2 or 3 days. I'm going to do it a second time because I'm OCD. And then do the back of the walls and then the floors. I'm not going to make you sit here and watch me like sitting here scrubbing out grout lines. You got better things to do with your time, but I want you to understand the logic of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So, because the grout lines, I definitely want to make sure I get done. Also, the other reason for the foam is I can get into all these recessed surfaces in this decorative tile here really well to make sure that that's sealed. Because if I just kind of swipe over it, it's not going to get down in these. So it's going to be a little bit tedious, a little bit boring, but we're going to get this thing sealed up. Again, let it seal up with the first coat for 2 or 3 days and come back with the second coat, let it set for 2 or 3 days. And then after that, I can start caulking. So anyway, have a great one. Talk to you later.